My name is Joe Machol. I'm a son of a World War II veteran, and that's my dad's Jeep out there. He helped liberate the Dachau Concentration Camp in that exact Jeep. I think he showed up on May 1st, but the guy I'm going to introduce showed up on April 28th, the exact day they liberated, and arguably could have been the exact first person to walk in the Dachau concentration camp. You'll see him in his Ike jacket coming up, and I always like to tell people what's on that jacket. It's got the 42nd Rainbow Division patch. He's got the Patton's 3rd Army patch because he was in that for about 2 or 3 weeks during the Battle of the Bulge. Also, he has the combat infantry badge, a parachute badge. He's got the presidential unit citation. He's got 9 awards for being an expert in the pistol, rifle, mortar, grenade, and those type of things. He's also earned the Germany Occupation Medal with Germany Bar, the Victory Europe Medal, the European African Middle Eastern Campaign Ribbon with 3 battle stars, the Battle of Northern France, the Battle of the Bulge, and the invasion of Germany, the American Campaign Ribbon, the Army Good Conduct Ribbon. I have no clue how he earned that. If you know Chick, he's a character. He earned the Purple Heart on 3/1/45. He was shot through the hand. He earned 3 Bronze Stars with the V device for bravery. And he earned America's 3rd highest honor, the Silver Star, for gallantry in action against the enemy. He's also owed probably 9 more medals from the Belgium and French government. Actively right now, he's in line to receive the France highest award, the Legion of Honor, but it'll take about 9 more months. The French are not real fast on, it's only 70 plus years late, but anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce a national treasure, Birney T. Havey, Jr.
Thank you very much. I was really impressed with the ceremony beforehand, and I guess I best just tell you about the capture of Dachau, which most people want to hear, and I want to refer to my helmet. But we were riding tanks, and we were the first-line infantry, and we approached the prison camp. We had no prior knowledge that it was a prison camp. So when we got there, we followed the railroad tracks. We were in the advance, so at the point, and we came upon the boxcars or trainloads of dead Germans or dead Jews and prisoners. But the side of the prison camp was open wire to us on the left-hand side, and all the prisoners had gathered there, and we were shouting and joyous that we were there. And we got into the prison camp through the first warehouse, and there was a lot of hubbub, and probably the biggest thing was the smell. There was a terrible, terrible stench of death and many other things. But it was kind of a cloudy day, and it was just like a fog upon us. And our first reaction was that, I guess, looking at those people, what in the hell did they do? What kind of prisoners were they? And we learned afterwards that they were just simple prisoners, simple people, mostly Jews at Dachau. The next day we had a chance to visit a little bit around the camp within our jurisdiction, and we visited the gas chambers, and so we saw the ovens. And Joe, who introduced us, is just Sunday, he was back at Dachau just this last Sunday, and he showed me some photographs of where the Germans have placed glass over there and really embellished those ovens from the old brick iron door things that we saw. And it's just like they're trying to clean it up. And I hear people talking about we should forgive the Germans. Well, our president, when I was there, he made a speech and he said it's about time we start forgiving the Germans. And all the vets there, some of them wounded in action and still in wheelchairs and things like that, all groaned. So I think that's a fallacy because they've stolen the gate, and there seems to be a movement, anti-Semitic movement, continuing all through Europe. But everybody asked me, well, what did we think of it when we saw the dead? We saw bodies and bodies and bodies and emaciated people that you couldn't believe they could still walk. They were walking like on stilts. And the Germans had starved them, worked them, took away their humanity, and then they killed them. They didn't just kill them, they just let them starve to death. In the railroad cars, later on when they opened them, there were probably, there were 300 carloads of dead, and they all looked the same in their striped uniforms. And one of the really things that I wanted to impress you with is, besides the horror, was those people each had a little can or a little bowl, and that's all they ate off. And if they would be able to get some soup or anything, they had to have that ready. And they had to defecate in that, and they had no way of washing it. And you can't imagine the privation that those people suffered. Everybody asked me, what did I think? And we were so, we had no conscience. I had been in combat for probably 4 or 5 different battles, and for about 4 months and 5 months, and you just didn't have any reaction, and they stole our conscience. We lost it. But I wanted to bring up this helmet here. This helmet was issued to me in 1944 in Oklahoma, Muskogee, Oklahoma, the 42nd Division. And I kept it with me all the time over into France. It was in all the battles, and it was in Dachau. And I would think, and it's never been washed other than rain, and this hangs on my wall at home. And this helmet, I was sitting there a few months ago, and I looked at it, and I thought, my God, there has to be still some DNA dust on that from that Dachau. And so I see it as a direct lineage from Dachau to here now, today. And it's a wonderment for me. That's about all I have to say, except right now we're looking at a resurgence of anti-Semitism. And I think that everybody asks me, well, what should we do now? I know you people march and talk and speak, but Netanyahu, the prime minister, when he spoke to Congress here a few weeks ago, he told them which way the bread was buttered. The Jews... Like he said so eloquently, the Jews are fighting for their lives. We're fighting for votes here. So he's a hero in my eye. But and they asked me, what should they do? Well, can you imagine 2 atomic bombs dropped on Israel, that small country? They would be completely devastated. And there's the Arabs to cut them up. So that's what we're looking at, and that's all I want to say. But my helmet is still here, and I thank you, and your people are beautiful, and I appreciate your reception. Thank you.
Visit www.marchofremembrancehouston.org, www.marchofremembrance.org for information on an event in your area. Here, Holocaust survivors, World War II veterans, and/or their families share their experiences as victims and liberators. Experience heartfelt testimonies, healing, and hope. Rise up and march against today's anti-Semitism. MarchofRemembrance.org, MarchofRemembranceHouston.org.
Pastor Reeve, members of congregations, fellow guests, my name is Ricarda Redeker. I'm the Consul General of the Federal Republic of Germany here in Houston. Thank you for inviting me for today's commemoration. I stand here as a representative of Germany in Houston, but also as a member of a generation of Germans born after the Second World War. We, the Germans of today, shall not forget the crime of the Holocaust. It was committed by Germans who belonged to the generations of our fathers and grandfathers, our uncles and granduncles. We, therefore, hold a special responsibility to remember the Shoah, to draw the right lessons from this deepest point of our history, and we bear the responsibility to keep remembrance alive in the future. Even more than 60 years after the end of the war, the Holocaust is not a distant crime. It will never be. This burden is there to stay. Crimes that were committed in the German name will continue to influence the identity of our nation. The almost impossible, the irritating, the most painful part of German identity. My generation knows that as individuals we are not held responsibility for what our fathers and grandfathers did. And yet we are not just individuals. We are members of families. We are members of a nation, a culture, a language. This is where the collective responsibility of us as Germans lies. We will and never should be able to deconstruct it. And this is also where the responsibility of the so-called generation in the mercy of late birth, meaning born after World War II, begins. It is our obligation to remember what happened and to undertake every effort to prevent a similar horror, wherever it might happen. When we see pictures of the Holocaust, when we read and learn about it, these pictures and stories hurt. As humans, and particularly as Germans, we feel the pain they cause us. We have to listen with our hearts too. It is through this experience of a later generation that the important message of the Shoah is not being lost. A message which the great Italian writer and Holocaust survivor Primo Levi put into the following words: "We cannot understand it, but we can and must understand whence it was born, and be alert. If understanding is impossible, knowing is necessary, because what happened can return. Human conscience can be seduced and darkened again, even our conscience." I cannot think of a better way to express the responsibility we feel. After the war, we Germans succeeded in building a strong democracy. And yes, we also managed to establish close ties with the State of Israel. Our two countries this year celebrate the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties. And yes, we have established a relation of friendship between our peoples. It is our task to hand over this friendship from generation to generation, like we must hand over the memory of the Holocaust from generation to generation too. Never again. Thank you very much.
Visit www.marchofremembrancehouston.org, www.marchofremembrance.org for information on an event in your area. Hear Holocaust survivors, World War II veterans, and/or their families share their experiences as victims and liberators. Experience heartfelt testimonies, healing, and hope. Rise up and march against today's anti-Semitism. Marchofremembrance.org, marchofremembrancehouston.org.